When individuals are stalked, they experience fear and adverse life effect. And it is my job to ensure that they feel less fearful and more safe in everyday activities of living. I can't guarantee safety, but I can ensure that they may feel safer. And I do this by working with the perpetrators of those who are engaging in the stalking behaviour. We may work with a perpetrator, and I can think of one now, where he just wasn't able to psychologically tolerate the end of the relationship. He felt psychologically injured as a consequence of that. He felt that a void had been created, and he was desperate to re-engage the person and pull them back into the relationship. When it became very clear to him that that wasn't going to happen, his feelings of hope flipped into more of anger and more around revenge and punishment. And we work with this individual on a quite relatively simple basis to get him to understand what the changes of his emotion meant for him and how they mapped onto his behaviour, putting him at risk, but most importantly, the victim at risk. And we talked through what the potential consequences of what his behaviours might elicit if he was to engage in one of continuation and perseverance and one of desistance and cessation, and began to explore other opportunities. And it wasn't to say that what he was feeling was bad, because most of us feel distressed, upset, and to some extent a sense of hopelessness when a relationship ends. That's normal, valid feelings. But actually, when you have those feelings and you hold on to those feelings and you can't move on, that's when they can potentially become very destructive, not only to yourself, but also they may drive behaviours that represent risks to victims as well. So it was quite on a very basic level, getting him to understand why he was doing what he was doing, and then making him aware of what the choices and the options were that were available to him that didn't involve those behaviours as well. Well, interestingly, many victims of stalking don't reach out or make complaints to the police about what's happening to them until research tells us there's been 100+ untoward, unwanted, intrusive incidents. So one of the ways that we can help people with regards to early intervention is to raise the profile of what is meant by stalking, and to raise the profile in relation to the serious risks that are associated with stalking behaviour, rather than this sort of tainted media image of stalking being something that is often harmless and doesn't cause any psychological, emotional damage. So if somebody is behaving in a way that makes you uncomfortable, be that uncomfortableness may manifest in fearfulness or anxiety or depression, then don't be worried. Report it to the police, because a complaint made doesn't necessarily mean automatically trigger an investigation, but it does mean that the police have intelligence about an individual that they can use, and the more complaints that you make, that intelligence picture is built up, so we then can begin to establish whether a course of conduct is being demonstrated, because stalking is about a course of conduct. It's not about an isolated one-off incident. It is behaviours and occurrences that sit under those behaviours, acts that are correlated, that are intended to cause you fear, cause you distress, and have an adverse life effect. And that's something that happens over time. So one of the things that I would recommend to any person who feels that behaviours that are being directed towards them are intrusive, unwanted, untoward, oppressive, is that at that point, don't prevaricate, report it to the police, make a complaint. because the sooner you can make a complaint to the police and it's investigated, then the sooner we can identify the individual and also their vulnerabilities, because a lot of victims don't want perpetrators punished, they want perpetrators to be helped. And the earlier that we can help an individual to understand the risks associated with the behaviour, the more that we can help them to make the healthy choices in their lives and in their future relationships, so we don't create future victims.